Welcome to this conversation with Lewis House on success through failure and the tools of greatness. My name is Lucia de Paz, and I am director for the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Principia College. I'm faculty for business administration and serial entrepreneur through my work with several multinationals. Our goal today is to talk about the importance of failure to succeed and the importance of your version of greatness to define that success. David Kelly, founder of IDEO, said, fail fast, succeed sooner. And in entrepreneurship, we often hear the quote, fail fast and fail often. I am very excited to have this opportunity to have this conversation about failure with Lewis House. Thank you, Lewis, for joining us.
Hey, excited to be here. How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very happy to have you, and I think everybody on campus feels the same way. So thank
I'm
you.
very excited. Yeah, I see a lot of names in here. I see Carolyn Lord and Carlos Espinosa, Camila, Carl Phillips in the house. A lot of great. Chris Marston, what's up, Chris? I see Barry Huff. Wow, a lot of Andy Crump. A lot of great people in here. Gabrielle, Galen, Gay Townsend. A lot of amazing people. Lisa Nichols. Good to see you all. Before we start, I know you had going to ask some stuff, but I wanted to see if you guys could share in the chat what you're most grateful for and where you are in the world. If you're at Prin or if you're at somewhere else, just so I see in the chat what you're grateful for. It could be personal, it could be life, it can be whatever. And where you are in the world. If you are a student at Prin or if you're at another school or if you're a guest of someone, just so I can see here. And grateful, Jim, grateful for family and dogs. Colombia, good to see you, Camila. I'm in Boston. Dog sitting, said Diane. Samuel also grateful for my mother. Heather, the foundation of Christian Science. Love that. Gabriel, grateful for my job on campus. Okay, cool. Snow in Elsa, Illinois. It's sunny here in Los Angeles, so I'm grateful for this. Kevin Cap in the house. Grateful for family and a job in Minnesota. Retiree. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good to see you all. I appreciate it. Just wanted to connect and set the foundation there and just say hello to everyone.
Well, thank you again. And at the end of this conversation, we also are going to have some space for questions and answers. So we really look forward to receiving those questions from you guys. So please make sure to send us your question through the chat or the Q&A box.
Yes, please.
So Lewis, what an amazing story. Really, I want to do a quick introduction of you. You're a lifestyle entrepreneur, founder of the podcast of the School of Greatness with 1,073 episodes, I believe. Is tomorrow 1,074?
I think so, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Well, how exciting. You have appeared, from what I know, as the top 50 of all iTunes podcasts, and with over, I'm not sure if I have this right, 150 million downloads.
300 million downloads now. 300.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I am way off.
It's all
there.
good. I need to update my bio somewhere. Yeah.
I know. I guess I missed that by like half.
It's all good.
Good thing I'm not teaching finance.
It's all good.
Well, we had the honor of having Lewis in our student body. I think you joined Principia in 8th grade.
8th grade, Principia Middle School dorm, living the dream over there. So yeah, 8th grade all the way, and then I graduated. Yeah, all through the college. Took me about 7 years to finish college, but you know, when you're an entrepreneur, usually it takes longer for you to figure out school. So
that tends to happen, and it's very common actually. Yeah. And then you were inducted to Principia's Gold and Blue Hall of Fame 2018.
Very grateful. Yeah, grateful for the honor.
NCAA All-Division record for receiving yards in one game. Can you tell us a little bit about that moment?
Yeah, for anyone that was there that day, I don't know if there was anyone that day that day on campus or watching. It was a fun moment for me. I never imagined that I would break the record for the most receiving yards in a single game. I just wanted to do well. I wanted us to win, but that specific day, I felt something different. I definitely felt like I was just connected to every moment. I wasn't thinking about what was happening in the audience or what happened in the previous play. I was very present to the moment, every play of just even if I scored or didn't score, I was just like, what's the next play? What am I doing here in this moment? And I think that's been a beautiful lesson just on life is to be where my feet are at all times and just be present. And that was the key to that success in that game is just focusing on each moment.
Thank you. That's great. I know you also represented us very well in track and field. So grateful to have you be part of Principia and put our name up high.
Of
So thank
course.
you. Well, aside from that, I mean, you've been really busy afterwards. So that's just, your initial stage. But I know you're the best-selling author of a great book, The School of Greatness, and most recently, The Mask of Masculinity. And Louis, you were recognized by the White House and President Obama as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs in the country. Wow. When you were in the White House receiving that recognition on entrepreneurship, do you think there was something you could have envisioned? This was something you could have envisioned at an earlier stage in your life?
No, because I never knew how to make money before. I was a truck driver after college. I went I went to go I mean, I was after school I went to go pursue my dream of playing professional football. And I had a couple tryouts for some NFL teams. Didn't work out. I wasn't fast enough, wasn't talented enough. I was good, but I wasn't good enough for that level. But I had a lot of opportunities in the Arena Football League, a lot of different teams that wanted me to play. And in between finishing my senior year and I had about a year and a half off while I was trying to play professional football and chase this dream. And I didn't have a college degree at the time. I didn't finish yet. I had 5 credits left that I had to finish, so I didn't have the actual degree. But I got a job for $250 a week driving a truck. It was car auto parts, Napa car auto parts from Columbus, Ohio to Cincinnati. I saw someone was in Cincinnati here in the chat. I would drive, take me about 6 hour route. It was about 2 hours down to Cincinnati, and then about 2 hours, 2.5 hours back as I was hitting traffic, rush hour at that time. And I would transfer car auto parts from one truck to another and pick up other parts to bring back to Columbus. $250 a week in 2007. It's not really, you can't really do much on $250 a week, but I would train in the mornings and I would train at night. So I focused on my goals there and made $250 a week during the week. But you really can't live on that. So it was I didn't know how to make money. I didn't even know that I could be an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew after playing football, and again, I made $250 a week playing arena football. You didn't get paid much either there. It wasn't like I had anything saved up at the end of the season. So when I got done playing football, I got injured. I had to have a surgery then. Um, I really didn't know what I was going to do next. And again, I was 24 at the time. I didn't have savings. I didn't learn entrepreneurship. There weren't classes back when I was in school that was teaching entrepreneurship, so I'm really glad that there's more of this at the school right now. I didn't understand financial literacy. I didn't know how to save money, how to do taxes. I didn't know how to earn money, except from the idea of, okay, you go and get a job and someone pays you. And I remember I was sleeping on my sister's couch for about a year and a half. I had this cast on while I was recovering, and I was sleeping on her couch for a year and a half. And one of the greatest gifts she gave me was she said, okay, Louis, you've got to either leave or you need to pay rent. So, because a year and a half, I wasn't paying any rent. I was eating her food. I was comfortable enough, but I was 24, turning 25. And I was like, I should probably figure out what I'm going to do next. And I remember applying for, she was like, you need to get a job. And I started going on Craigslist at the time and looking for job opportunities in sports marketing because I got a sports marketing degree at Princeton College. Shout out to all the sports marketing majors out there. If they still have that
Thank you.
department.
Still
Yeah,
have it.
okay. That's good. And there was one class. It was really hard for me to study and focus at Print. I feel bad because I had a horrible time as a dyslexic trying to read and write and remember anything in textbooks. I learned much more through experiences and exercises and um, on the football field or the basketball court. But I remember there was one class that was essentially about personal branding that got me excited. And I learned so much in that one class that I really leveraged that for the rest of my career up till now about building personal brand. And I'm truly a big believer that whether you are looking to get a work for a company and be a part of a team, or you want to launch your own business, in order to be recession proof, pandemic proof, whatever proof, building personal brand is the only way in order to really set yourself up for success as an entrepreneur or to try to get a job at another company. If the company lays you off, building your personal brand, that means people that are in powerful positions you have access to, you have credibility with, you have relationship with, that your results speak so well, so much for yourself that someone else could hire you or you could launch something on your own as a business owner. And so for me, I learned about personal branding at Prin, but she gave me a great gift. She said, Lewis, you either need to go get a job and start paying rent, or you need to leave, because I was there rent free for a year and a half. And I started looking for jobs. I started looking for sports marketing jobs, and I found this role online. I think it paid like $30,000, and but it was a sports marketing job at a local company in Columbus, Ohio. And I was like, I think I could do really well here. Like, this is something that I've done in my degree. Like, I think I could do well. I'm a hungry young kid. I'm passionate. I'm eager to learn. Like, I'll work hard. I can set goals and accomplish them from sports. It's like everything I learned at Print, I could apply this here. And I remember I filled out the application, I sent it in, and I got a job interview. And I was like, oh wow, they said yes to my application. Somehow I tricked them on my resume. It looked good enough. I put something on there that made them be interested. Okay. And I remember I had the interview to scheduled for like next week. And I remember getting ready for this interview. I had one blazer jacket, I think probably from print graduation still. That was the only jacket I owned. And I had like a nice shirt and some slacks or something. And I was getting ready to go out my sister's house to go and drive to this interview. And I remember, oh, literally, I kid you not, opening the door and looking out, and something like just shifted in me right then. I could not step outside the house. I could not step outside the house. I look outside and I go, huh, why do I not want to leave right now? And I think I started to really realize that I wanted to go try something else first before I went and worked for a company on their mission and with their team. I love being a part of a team, but something was like, I'm at a stage right now in my life, 24, 25, where I can be broke. I have time. I'm okay if I'm broke. I don't need a car. I don't need these things. I just need a little bit of money. So if I could figure out how to make a little bit of money to pay my sister for rent and food, let me try to get more advanced education by just exploring how to make money instead of going to get a job where they pay me for money. Nothing wrong with that. I was just like, let me try, since I'm this age right now, let me try. So I literally shut the door and I never replied to them saying I was going to the interview, and I just felt bad, but I didn't go to the interview. But I said to myself, I need to learn how to be an entrepreneur and make money fast. Like, what do I need to do? And that was the moment when I really started to tap into reaching out to mentors who had a model of financial success, who had built something on their own with a team. And I started being obsessive about learning from these mentors that I could model from, model what they'd created and learn from, and start taking action and implementing some of these strategies so that someone would pay me $1. I said, if I can get one person to pay me $1, then maybe I could figure out how to make $2. And maybe I could figure out 4 and 8. And those next 2 years, from making zero, within the next year, I did about a $500,000 in sales from a lot of different steps, a lot of different failures, a lot of different mistakes. And then the next year, 1 million in sales, then 1.5 million to 2.5 million. And then I sold the company within the next 4 years. From zero, I didn't have any, I had no confidence in my ability to make money. Zero. I was like, why would anyone pay me anything? It took me 7 years to finish college. Pretty much, just convincing people to let me pass half the time because my work was never good enough. Print college is very challenging for those who don't go to print. It's a high level education. I should not have even been accepted because I wasn't educated enough to be in there, but somehow they let me through after 7 years of hard work and lots of tutoring. But I was like, why would anyone pay me for anything? Because I don't have any value. I don't have any skills. I can't help people do anything. Why would they pay me? And that's when everything shifted. And I said, I need to learn skills. I need to learn skills that solve problems that people are willing to pay for. What are those skills? I started researching and asking these mentors, like, what do I need to learn? The first thing was I created a list, and I would recommend this for everyone, whether you're trying to make money as an entrepreneur, whether you're trying to get someone to go out on a date with you, whatever it is. I started to create something that I do this every year. I create a fear list. It's a list of my biggest emotional, mental, psychological fears. And at that time, the number one thing on the list, which is usually at the top of the list for most people, was public speaking. And for those that remember me at Prin, I was terrified to speak in front of class. I could not even get up and speak in front of 7 peers. Terrified. I could not read aloud out of a book because I wasn't that good of a reader. I couldn't do it that well. So I was terrified because everyone around me was so much smarter. And I remember feeling humiliated and embarrassed every time I spoke in front of 5 people or beyond. And that was the number one thing on my list. Like, and one of the mentors that I met, he was like, if you truly want to do something great, if you truly want to build anything meaningful, you're going to need to learn the art of spoken word, the art of the ability to enroll people in an idea, a vision, something that you're launching in the world, whether it's a product you're selling, a software you have, an event, a book you write, a course you're creating, a curriculum, a car. It doesn't matter. Physical product, digital, whatever you're creating, you need the ability to speak so that people can be enrolled in your thing, the thing you're selling, your vision, your idea. And if you aren't able to communicate, it's going to be hard to find partners. It's going to be hard to hire a team. It's going to be hard to communicate and sell so people can buy. And I remember just saying to myself, but I am horrible at this. I am horrible at speaking, horrible and terrified. And I don't like it. Like, I don't like it. I don't want to do it.
Do you like it now?
Yeah, I mean, I here's the thing. For the last 12 years, I've been studying it and practicing it, that I have embraced my fear of public speaking because I met a mentor who was a professional public speaker. Like I say, you need to find mentors that have a model that you could mimic. You need mentors, whether they're personally mentoring you, whether you read their book, you take a course, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be talking to them one-on-one. I read a lot of books. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I read a lot of articles from mentors. You need mentors that have the success that you're looking for. It doesn't have to be exactly, but you need mentors who have a model that you can mimic. Mentors who have a model you can mimic. And I met one mentor. Another one of my another one of my fears on my fear list. What, in order to be fearless, you've got to cross things off your fear list. And in order to overcome those fears, you must go all in on the fear until the fear disappears. And so one of my fears was salsa dancing. I'm a tall, lanky Midwestern kid with
You're talking
no,
to Latina here.
I know, with no dance skills except for senior year high school. I did join the the theater production and did some.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I was afraid. I was terrified. And I said, okay, I've been watching this for 3 years, the theater production, and I could never do this. I could never do this. I can't act. I can't speak in front of people. I can't dance and sing. Who do I think I am to think I could do this? And because this was on my fear list, I started doing this at a young age. Because this was on my fear list, I said, I'm going out for the lead role my senior year. And I went out for the lead role, and I was terrified, sweating out of my pits on stage, stuttering, terrified. But I'm telling you what, in order for me to overcome the fear, I needed to go all in on the fear. And I did it, and I wasn't great at all, but I got the second lead. Somehow I created the second lead. And it was an amazing process. And I'm so glad I did, because it was this 3-month journey of learning, acting and dancing. And it was an amazing thing. Fast forward back to this fearless of public speaking. I was able to hide still on stage. It wasn't me alone on stage. It was like 20 other people, and I had like a line with someone else for 2 seconds. It was a challenge, but it wasn't
It was
Me,
a shared challenge.
it wasn't me solo with a mic with 20,000 people bearing my heart and soul to this audience, needing to captivate for 2 hours. That's a different experience. And that was a fear. So was salsa dancing.
Yes.
And I had both of those on my list at the top of my list.
Oh,
And I met this is what I do with every area of my life. I went to this salsa club one night, became mesmerized by, where are you from? Which country?
Guatemala.
Guatemala. Do you know I build schools in Guatemala and I've been there 5 times in the last 8 years?
Oh, have you?
I
For the
love, I,
school?
I love Guatemala. There's a
So
pro,
maybe the second version of this, we can do it in Spanish.
See, and right now, for the last 20 years, I'm going to wrap this all in a good bow, I promise you. In the last 20 years, I took Spanish class from Mrs. Quintanilla. I don't know if she's still there at the high school
Well,
they
she's
call.
not there, but she's a close friend, family
Yes,
friend.
Mrs.
Yes.
Quintanilla, I appreciate you. Thank you for inspiring me to speak Spanish. I apologize that I was a horrible student. But for 20 years since her class, I have been in love with the Spanish culture, with the Latin culture, I should say.
I know it's so easy.
And right, I've been just, and I appreciate and I started going to salsa clubs to just watch. I was the creepy dude on the corner watching, not because I was trying to pick up a date or something, but because I just appreciated the music and the culture, and watching people dance was mesmerizing. And I was so intimidated. I could not go out on the dance floor because I was so scared to look embarrassed and fail and have everyone laugh at me, that for 3 months I would go and watch and I would not do a thing. I wouldn't even try. I was so scared. That was on my fear list. Everything I would write down that would excite me, but I was afraid of. One of my mentors, who had a model that I wanted to mimic, I met at the salsa club. I kid you not.
Wow.
And he was an amazing salsa dancer, and I got to know him. This is before I was dancing. I would just watch. And I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "I speak professionally around the country." And I go, "Really? You can get paid?" I was like 24, right? And I go, "Really? You can make money speaking?" And he goes, "Yeah, I speak all over to colleges and corporations, and I make a great living." And I go, "What?" I go, "Can I learn this? Because I'm terrified of public speaking. Can you, can I, learn from you? And like, how did you do this? And like all this stuff." So we went to Starbucks in Columbus, Ohio the next week. And I'll never forget, I said, "I'm terrified to speak. I don't know if I could ever do what you're doing. Um, if it was even possible to do it, what would be the steps I would need to take?" And he went on this whole process. He's like, "You need to join something called Toastmasters, which is a professional speaking group. It's all over the world. It's like $50 a year, something $100 a year." And he said, "You need to join, and you need to join the one that scares you the most, where they're the best speakers, where they're the most professional. Go to all the clubs in Columbus and find the one that you are so intimidated by and join that one. And then I want you to do is I want you to show up every single week for the next year. And I want you to bring a camera and film it every single time. And you're going to fall flat on your face and you're going to fail so hard. But this is a safe space where people aren't going to laugh at you. They're going to give you constructive feedback. No matter how bad you are, no one will laugh at you and they will support you and encourage you. But it's going to be intimidating and it's going to scare you." I did that the next week. I said, "I'm not going to wait 6 months. I'm going to go to now, action now." And I went to 5 clubs in the next week and I found the one where everyone was in suits and people spoke like Shakespeare and they had New York Times bestselling books that had been featured on Oprah. And I was like, who am I, this 24-year-old bum who can't speak in front of 3 people without stuttering? How could I even be here? This is the place I need to be. I need to immerse myself in the scariest place because that's where I'm going to grow the most. And I did it every single week while I was also salsa dancing and learning on YouTube and taking group lessons and private lessons because I was terrible and terrified. And I found a mentor with a model that I could mimic. And that process is something that we could all do at any stage, but it needs to come from a place of, where is my biggest insecurity? Where do I doubt myself the most? Where am I lacking the greatest skills? What is something that I would love to be able to create, but there's no way I could ever do it? You need to create a fear list. I would encourage everyone to write that down And even feel free to type in some of the big fears you might have in the chat here, and we can talk about some of these things, and I could just see what people are saying. What's a big fear? Just write down one fear. Is it public speaking? Is it the fear of success, failure, embarrassment, rejection? Whatever it is, go ahead and write that down.
So, Louis, I love what you're sharing because we're teaching a new venture creation class this semester, and I've asked them to do reflections on fear. And I know you love quotes. And one of the quotes that I had several students sharing their reflection was by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it says, "Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain." And while I've been reading your book, I love that you have um, a three-way approach to failure. I believe it's fear of failure, fear of success, and fear of looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you're taking fear apart in those three angles.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more of that? And if possible, which
Yep.
ones of these fears are the ones, or of these angles are the ones that has been most challenging to you?
So for me, I I've just discovered through my own process that there are these three main fears: the fear of failure, the fear of success, and the fear of you can call it rejection, the fear of embarrassment, or the fear of other people's opinions, the fear of judgment, whatever you want to call that third one. It's really the fear of other people's opinions, judgment, rejection, things like that. The fear of failure, I learned at Prin from sports that you must fail in order to accomplish your goals as an athlete, whether it's playing basketball, catching a football. Like when I was learning a new sport, you're going to fail. And I love this. There was a meme online I saw a while ago. It was something along the lines of, when a child learns to walk, it falls down thousands of times. And at no point does it say, maybe this walking thing isn't for me. The child doesn't think, ugh, I hit my face and I scraped my elbow and my knees hurt and I can't walk after 1,000 times. It doesn't say, I'm going to give up. Like, I'm just going to crawl the rest of my life. As I grow, I'm going to stay on the floor and look at the ground and stay small and crawl and stay slow. The child, we don't think that as a child. We we wobble, we fall over and over and over, and we get back up and we smile and we cry and we continue that process. We don't think maybe this walking thing isn't for me. So as adults, we shouldn't be thinking maybe this dreaming thing, this success thing, these goals things aren't for me. But a lot of times when we fail once, we stop and we are afraid to scrape our elbows and smash our nose and break our face into the ground and hit the back of our head on a wooden object or whatever it is, and we're in so much pain that we stop. Or someone said, I told you so. And why were you thinking you could do that? You should just stay back here. There's an analogy called the crabs in a bucket. And when one crab in a bucket tries to get out of a bucket, the other crabs will literally break the legs of the crab trying to get out of the bucket and pull them back down so they stay small in the bucket. Check out this analogy online. And you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with an environment of people that will push you up, not break your legs to have you come back down with them. And the fear of failure, a lot of it is around what other people are thinking about you, or the pain when you fail. You're like, well, I don't want to get back up again because I just smashed my face. The fear of success is more about the crabs in the bucket, where a lot of people are afraid to succeed. And this is something, when I learned in sports at Prin, you've got to fail in order to improve. And to accomplish our goals, we're going to make mistakes. It's part of the process. You get feedback, it's information to help you improve. Success was always what I wanted. So it was the thing I was going after. I want to accomplish the goal. I want to be a state champ. I want to be an All-American. I want to be a professional athlete. I want these things. That's my dreams.
That was not the issue for you.
For success, the fear of success was not an issue. I was like, I'm going after these things.
Yes.
Failure, I learned through sports at Prin, the great coaches, that this is a part of the process where you get the necessary information, the feedback to help you accomplish your goal. My fear was the fear of other people's opinions and the judgment of other people. I am a recovering people pleaser, that I want everyone to be happy around me. And I care so deeply about what other people thought about me. because I lacked the security, I lacked the self-belief. I felt like I was the dumbest kid in the class. I felt like I could never amount to anything because intellectually I wasn't smart enough based on grades and results. And so I cared deeply about what other people thought. And that drove me to prove people wrong, but it also left me feeling extremely unfulfilled, extremely unsatisfied, living in suffering and pain because my identity and my results were tied around to what other people thought about me, as opposed to tied to a mission greater than myself that didn't rely on what people thought about me. And when we can let go of the opinion of other people, what they think about us, and sometimes it's the people closest to us, and it's really hard, but when we can let that go, we set ourselves free to become our authentic selves and going after what we're called to do. And I think a lot of people, and I would like you to put down whether your biggest fear is a fear of failure, a fear of success, or the fear of judgment of other people. Just type in the chat. I'd love for each person to put this. You can just put failure, success, or judgment. Failure, success, or judgment to see what kind of the theme is here. And it's usually pretty even around the board of all three. We're seeing
Oh, we're seeing
failure,
a
we're seeing
lot of answers here. Yes.
judgment, and success. And the thing is, again, I was never afraid of success because it's what I wanted. I was like, I want to achieve, I want to grow, I want to succeed, I want to do these
You
things.
had your eyes set on that All-American, so you had to.
I had from a 5 years old. I remember sitting with my dad on a couch watching Ohio State football, and him speaking about these All Americans, and I was like, he's talking about these people in a great way. I want to be that dad. I want to be an all. And for 15 years, I said, how can I be the best athlete that I can be to become an All American? And then how can I go be a professional athlete? So I kind of had these goals that were clear. And the fear of failure, it was just like, well, this is part of the process. As a baby, you fall thousands of times in order to learn how to just hold on to something and wobble yourself into walking. It's part of success. You must fail in order to learn the skills, overcome the adversity, discover who you can be in the process of accomplishing the goal. So those two things I didn't have a problem with. It was what people talked about me when I failed, what people, even if I achieved, I remember so many times. Here's the funny thing. I remember breaking the record at Prin for the most receiving yards in a single game in the history of any football game in the world. Literally, and being so upset because we lost the game. I was the last person out of the shower. I was there moping and pouting and complaining. And I just did something that
Had
no
so
one
much
in the
to
history
celebrate.
of the world had ever done at a collegiate level. And yet I was upset because we didn't win. And I had all of my identity tied to winning and people and me wanting other people to know that I was a winner. And it didn't matter if I broke records, I needed to win. And that was my own insecurities and self-doubt that I had that it took me a long time to overcome and deal with. But that'll hold you back if you have any of these fears.
So, Louis, how I know you have now, you're starting, I believe it's a new venture, greatness coaching.
Yep.
And how do we figure out, and sometimes it's hard for us to be sincere with ourselves and saying, this is my fear, even to ourselves. Sometimes everybody around us figures it out except for us. You know, how do we figure out to focus, this is what I need to work on, so that our list is actually sincere? We're actually working on something that's real. And what is greatness coaching? You know, what can you tell us about this?
Well, I think I've always been very self-aware of like knowing what's the thing that I want and why do I want it. And I think a lot of times we have a lot of distractions, we have lots of passions or ideas, and we want to do everything. We're not sure which direction to go, or we doubt ourselves and we don't go any direction. The first step is really being aware of who you are in this moment and everything up to this moment is taking inventory of everything that's built you up to who you are right now and reflecting, self-reflection to create self-awareness. So I think of everything as a sports analogy, because that's what I know best. In and football at Prin, we would play the game, and then the next day we would reflect on the game and watch game film. and we'd be able to analyze every move we made on every play, the energy, the body language, what we did in transition of plays, how we showed up, did we accomplish our goals or not, what was in the way of accomplishing our goals, and we analyzed and had awareness. Most of the time, I don't see people reflecting on the last day they had and reflecting on their life and reviewing the game film of their month, year, life. And this is something I'm constantly doing. Again, whether this is
Are
just
you
because I
doing that
learned it
podcast today? Do you look back on the podcast or did
every
you?
night. Every night I look back on the day and I review the game film of the day, and I either journal or have a conversation with my girlfriend, and I reflect on what worked in my life, what am I proud of, what didn't work, and just being aware, not necessarily needing to analyze everything, but just what worked and what didn't work. And every night I reflect on three things I'm grateful for. Even if it was the most challenging day and everything went wrong, I think, what are three things I'm grateful for? And I express those things to her, she expresses those things to me. And I have a process of journaling that down because I'm always in a self reflection mode so that I can create something new the next day and get closer to the goal. So I review, I'm always in vision mode. Vision is what dictates all my decisions as an entrepreneur, as a as a as an individual, whether it be in business, personal life, health, relationships, spirituality, everything. It's based on vision. And I will ask all of you right now, do you have a one sentence vision or mission statement for your career or business, for your health and wellness, and for your relationships, intimate or professional? Do you have a one statement, vision or mission? And I've seen some people say yes. So go ahead and write it down if you know what it is. But for me, my mission is very clear. It's to serve 100 million people weekly to help them improve the quality of their life. It's very clear. So I am led by the vision. I am led by this something that's greater than what do I do today? And I don't know. I'm just going to go make some money and do this thing. It's very intentional. Every person that joins the team is aligned to the vision of serving 100 million people every single week. We're only reaching 13 million people a month right now through our podcast and our show. It's only reaching 13 million people monthly. So we have a long way. There's a gap from where we are to where we want to be. There's a big gap. So who do I get to become? What do I need to cross off on my fear list to let something go to become something greater in order to go from 13 million downloads a month to 100 million downloads a week, to reaching and serving humanity at a higher level? Everything is based on service to humanity. How do we improve the quality of people's lives? The mechanism is through a podcast, a YouTube show, a social media, through books, courses, events. We're just tomorrow we're filming a segment for PBS. How do we get distributed? It doesn't matter the mechanism,
It's
the thing. It matters the mission. And it's not about being attached to how it looks from where we are now to where we want to be. It's about being committed to the process and being flexible to failure and feedback and growth in that process. So for me, my decisions are made based on a vision for my business, based on a vision for my health, based on a vision for my spirituality and my relationships. And I make decisions, and it's very clear. It's easy then as a if you want to call yourself an athlete in life, it's easy to track progress every single day. Am I making decisions based on my vision or based on my fears? And if I'm making them based on my fears, it won't get me to my vision. So I need to overcome the fears in order to become greater than I've been in my past so that my present will get me closer to my vision.
and I think
And
that
yeah,
also your fears sometimes, make your vision blurry. Once you start tackling your vision, your fears, it's much better. It's you get to your real greatness as far as what
absolutely.
your vision can be. It
Absolutely.
becomes so murky that yes, you can have like some sort of a vision, but you're not able to even foresee that vision because
Yeah.
of the fears that you're putting that are kind of like closing your eyes in a certain way. Well, I want to be able to get to some questions and answers. I've
Sure.
loved hearing everything you've had to say, but I know that
Bring
our
it
audience
on. Bring
also
the
wants to
questions.
hear. So I'm gonna transition right now to that
Sure.
stage. I want to introduce you. Well, I want to introduce everybody to Connor Goring, who will be helping us out with the questions. Connor is a student at Principia. He is about to graduate. He is a senior business administration major with a concentration on entrepreneurship. He will be the third student to graduate with, I'm sorry, we've had one student graduate with our entrepreneurship program, and we have four that will be graduating this year, and
Wow.
one of them.
That's
So
exciting. I wish I had that in college. Shoot. That's
I
amazing.
know. So Connor, thank you so much for helping us. It's all yours.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Louis, so much. So we've got quite a few questions here. So let's just dive
Bring
in.
them on. Dive them in.
So first things first, is there a point at which failure is a sign that you should indeed give up and use your efforts elsewhere?
Yes. When you don't care about the vision anymore. So I will go all in on something that I care about. If it's a dream of mine, if it's a goal of mine. And a lot of people will say, never give up, and you just, you can't fail if you don't quit, and all these, great sports analogies. If you have a vision that you still care about, if you don't care about the vision, I'm always telling people, like, go try something. And after 6 months or a year, you're just exhausted and you don't care anymore and you don't love it and it's not bringing you joy, then you should quit. Like, you should take that failure as feedback that this is not the right path for you for this season of your life. Maybe in the future it will be. Maybe, I'll give an example. I was a big fan of, and I think I saw Chris Marston in here, so I apologize, but I loved baseball growing up. Loved it. Until my senior year, I didn't care anymore. Like, I cared, but not enough to go through the pain of practice, training. Like, it wasn't my love anymore. I started to love track and field and football more. I did baseball for 13 years, and that season of my life had ended. I had an amazing time. Coach Marston was one of the greatest coaches I've ever had, and big shout out to Coach Marston. But I was like, I just don't have the desire and the love for this thing, this season in my life anymore. But I had love for it for a long time up until now. And when you realize, like, okay, it's not what I want anymore, it's not the vision for my life anymore, then it's okay to remove yourself from that and to recreate a new vision, something that you can try, something new. So I think if you love something and it brings you joy and you're still excited about it, then keep failing and take the feedback and don't repeat the same failures. But if you're exhausted and drained and it's sucking the life out of you and you keep trying things and you're not recommitting to the vision, then that's probably the time you should say, you know what, let me reinvent my life and figure out something new.
Yeah, totally. Alrighty, so next one. How do we manage being okay to fail when that failure affects other people?
I guess I need some context around that, because if it affects like your friends or family and the fact that they're scared or worried for you, then that's not the time to worry about that. If you're enjoying it, like, again, a baby takes, I think it's 12 to 18 months until they learn how to walk, and they fall thousands of times. I think I read something that it was like they do something like 4 to 8 football fields a day of walking when they're trying to walk. They're just walking around the house and bumping into stuff and falling down. It's just like 6 hours a day of trying to figure out to walk. It doesn't happen in 3 months. So when someone's trying something new, college, they finish a job, when they're trying something brand new that they're excited about, it's not going to magically be successful in a month or 3 months or 6 months. It takes 12 to 18 months for a baby to learn how to walk. How are you going to learn how to launch a business when you've never done it in 12 months? There's a reason why I think it's like 90 something percent of businesses fail within the first 3 years, because people stop when it gets really hard. A baby doesn't stop. It has a beginner's mind. And as adults, we tend to forget that a beginner's mind, it takes time to learn something. And you need to fail over and over again until you can figure out how to wobble, until you hold on to something, until you figure out other resources, until you make a game of it. Okay, let me walk to mommy and daddy and have fun and laugh, and boom. You've got to learn that these things take time. And if it's affecting other people, that's their problem, not yours. Now, if it's hurting someone because you're in some type of business venture or whatever, then that's a different story. But if it's a friend or a family member and they're just afraid for your safety, that's on them. They can't call you forever. You've got to learn on your own, and it takes failure to learn.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
if you have, again, if you think of, okay, going in blind to something is not what I would recommend. Finding a mentor who has a model that you can mimic will support you in accelerating the process, in learning it faster. And that's what you should be thinking. How can I accelerate the process faster? How can I minimize the mistakes that I don't need to do over and over again? By finding a mentor that I admire or respect, who has a model that's accomplished something that's similar to what I want to accomplish. They've launched this business, they've done this thing, they've written this book, whatever it is. They're an artist, they're a singer. Okay, they've got a model of a venture in their life that I could then mimic. Now the process is you figuring out what's the step one to mimic it faster, and how long is it going to take to get there. It might take years. It took me 15 years to reach a goal of being an All-American. It did not happen when I was 12. I wasn't strong enough. I didn't have enough experience. I wasn't old enough. Things take time, and you've got to delay the gratification to be aware of. The bigger the dream, the more time it usually takes. So mentor, model, mimic.
Well, you bringing up mentor is a good transition to the next question, which is, how do you recommend finding a mentor?
For me at Pran, I had some great coaches and mentors. And after school was done, I tapped into my resources from Pran College. Um, I reached out to coaches. I reached out to Stuart Jenkins. I reached out to trustees. I reached out to professors, anyone I could who would give me 5 minutes of their time and give me some coaching. And I think it's important to have a coach. When I think of Kobe Bryant, who I had, the honor of interviewing for my show, or I think of LeBron James, or I think of Michael Phelps, or I think of the greatest athletes in the world, to get to the level of winning a championship or a gold medal is one thing. And it takes decades and years of great coaching to support them to get there. They don't get there on their own. They've all had coaches to reach the top. When LeBron or Kobe or Michael Phelps gets to the top after one championship, one gold medal, one level of success at the top in the world, they don't say, you know what, I think I figured it all out on my own. Like, these coaches have given me everything. Like, I can go do this on my own now and hit another gold medal and win another championship. No, they all say, is this the right coach for me to get to stay up top? If not, what team do I need to go on? Who's the coach I need to hire? What do I need to invest in for my health, for other things? They find the best coaches. And this is why I think, why would we try to live life, or try to be in a relationship, or try to launch a business, or try to play a sport without a coach, when we know that the greatest athletes, the greatest business leaders all have mentors, coaches, and guides that support them to get there and then stay there on top. So when we finished school, I reached out to 3 different mentors that I had early on for a couple of years that really, I would just bug them over and over. And, once every couple of months, they would give me 5 or 10 minutes. And I just said, okay, I'm going to make the most of these 5 minutes, and I'm going to do exactly what they give me feedback on. I'm going to go implement and take as much action as possible, and then come back in a month or 2 or 3 and say, here's what I created. Do you have any feedback? Can you give me any mentorship or coaching? So for me, I tapped into the network of Prin College and resources there. But a lot of time, the people that you're really inspired by, these mentors, you may not have access to. But they have books, they have courses, they have articles they've written, they've got interviews. Like Oprah is a mentor of mine and a coach of mine, but I've never met her. I have a lot of mutual friends that are friends with her. I've been at events with her. I've never met her one-on-one. I probably know 50 people that know her, right? But I've never personally met her. But she's a model. I do an interview show, and she's had probably the most successful interview show, right? So she's like a mentor that I could look at. I don't know her personally, but I can study her work. I can watch her interviews and analyze them. I can see interviews she's done talking about it. I can read her books. And so I do that. She has a model. What did she do? She was at a local news station at first. She didn't happen overnight. It took her a lot of failure to get to where she was at, and it took her 25 years. So, okay, let me follow a model and see how I can improve it and mimic that process. So I have coaches that don't even know that coach me, but I also spend hundreds of thousands of dollars literally every single year on coaches in every area of my life because we need, as human beings, accountability. The bigger the dream and the bigger the goal, we don't have the willpower to just show up as robots every day and execute unbelievable feats every single moment of our life. We have flaws. We are flawed human beings, and we need the support to help us achieve incredible feats. I would not have been able to be the athlete I was without the coaches at Prin, middle school, high school, and college. I would not be able to be the entrepreneur I am without investing over the last 13 years in high level business coaches, in masterminds, to have access to resources of smart people that are way more successful and talented and smarter than me. So I'm in constant looking for people that are at a different level than me and learning from them, whether it's personally paying them to coach me, whether it's becoming friends with them and helping each other out, whether it's reading their books or buying a program or going to their conference. I'm investing in my self-education so much. I spent a lot of money at Print College. I've spent 10 times more on having a beginner's mind after college. That's where the real education begins, is when you graduate, you don't stop learning. That's when the learning begins, and you should start investing heavily. How do I acquire new skills? How do I learn about finance? How do I learn how to make money? How do I learn how to save money, invest money? How do I learn how to double my money without me having to work for it? All these levels that we've got to learn that luckily now there's an entrepreneurship program at Prin. Took them long enough. I wish they would have had it 15 years ago for me, but we didn't have that then. So you got to learn. And now, 20 years later, after saying I want to learn Spanish, I've been taking for 6 months, 3 days a week, Spanish lessons because I want to continue to learn. At 37, I'm like, man, there's so much I can gain from learning something new. And it's hard, and I suck at Spanish. I'm horrible. I feel like I don't learn anything, but I'm gaining knowledge every single day. So I can't remember what the original question was, but hopefully I answered it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we have time for one more question. And to close things off, we want to make you smile a bit with a question that we know you love. It's called the Three Truths. As you know, it's a hypothetical question. I know you already know where I'm going, but I will explain so that the rest of the audience knows what the question is. Alrighty, I want you to imagine for a moment this is your last day on Earth. You get to live as long as you want to live, but when you go to wherever you go next, for whatever reason, you get to take with you all your podcast, your books, articles, interviews, all written work, all your audio, video content out of the world. It has to go with you to that next place. No one will have access to this information anymore or anything you have said. But before you leave, you get to write down 3 things you know to be true about life and the lessons you have learned. What would you leave?
The first thing is to take care of your health, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I've met a lot of billionaires. I've interviewed a lot of billionaires, and I've had the fortune to be able to have access to them and connect with them because of the size of my show. And I learn a lot from people who are 30, 40 years older than me. And I ask them questions. I try to ask generations that have been around much longer than me questions because they have a lot of wisdom. And the number one thing they talk about is their health. The billions of dollars, when we're healthy, we have lots of problems. When we're not healthy, we have one problem, and that's to get healthy. Whether that's our thought, whether that's our body, whatever it may be, whatever's sick, we want to be healed. And health needs to be the priority. So I would focus on your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being, and your physical well-being, and make it a main priority in your life so that you have the energy to live life to its fullest. The second thing is to live in gratitude. There's a lot of stuff that we all go through, a lot of adversities, traumas, challenges that we wish didn't happen. But when we change our perspective, and instead of saying, why did this happen to me? But instead say, this is happening for me in the betterment of my future. And finding where the gratitude lies in the betterment of this challenge, this adversity, this embarrassment, this struggle, whatever it might be. When we change our perspective to why did this happen to me, which is something I did for a long time, and we shift it to this is happening in the betterment of my future. It's happening in a reason, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for this challenge. I'm grateful for this adversity because it's going to make me better. Then we have a better life. And the third thing would be to follow your dreams in the service of others. And I think there's a lot of dreams that die, in the graveyard with us that we have. A lot of people in the world that don't pursue what they want. They have something inside that's calling them. Whether you want to call it your spiritual connection to God that's saying you're supposed to do this and you don't do it. It's something that's like aches in our heart inside of us that we should be doing, but we're afraid. We allow one of the three fears to control our life as opposed to overcome them and become the best version of ourselves. And what I've found is when I follow my dreams in the service of helping other people, in the service of humanity in some way, it's the most fulfilling, rewarding gift I can give myself and other people. So take care of your health, live in gratitude, and follow your dreams in the service of others. And you don't have to change the world, but you can change the people around you in a positive way. You can live in an intentionally kind and generous way. And for me, that's be my three truths.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it and appreciate your time.
Of course, and I'm happy to stick around for a few more questions. If people have questions, if people want to bounce, they can bounce or whatever you guys have. So if people wanted to ask questions here in the chat, and if they wanted to leave, I'm happy to stick around for another 10, 15 minutes.
Connor, do you see any other additional questions that maybe we could add at this point?
If you guys have a question you want to put in the chat, feel free to put it in there real quick.
Thank you so much, Luis.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few more I can ask.
And if people want to leave, they can leave. But if people want to stick around, then I'll stick around for another 15, 20 minutes or something. So go ahead.
All righty. So here's one about your fear list. When you cross a fear off your list, do you replace it with another one? Or do you expect that one day you will have no fears on your list?
I'm going to turn 38 next year. And, a funny thing is actually my father never celebrated birthdays. If someone else is had a parent that was a very committed Christian Scientist, for me, my father wouldn't celebrate our birthdays. And I remember asking him when I was like 7 or 8 years old, when everyone else in school was celebrating birthdays. And I was like, why do we not celebrate? How come I don't get a presents and a cake and all these things? And he said, and I got really upset one day when my birthday came around and I didn't get anything. And I said, Dad, do you not love me to want to like get me a cake or presents or anything? Do you not celebrate me? And he said, of course, I celebrate you every day. But at my age, I've seen a lot of people who are much older and they focus on their age and time so much that it limits them to going after what they want. They say, I'm too old to go do this thing, or I'm too young. Why would I have the ability to go after this thing? So he told me, I never want you to be limited by your age and focusing on that. So that was something I was thinking about. And I, even though I said I'm going to be 38 here soon, but I'm 38. I'll be 38 next month. And I haven't, there's always new fears that I'm crossing off. And at the end of every year, I reflect, what did I overcome? And what are the three big things that are still holding me back? And some things I thought I've overcome, but they're still there. So I have to add them back to the list. Some things might take for my whole life, but as long as I'm in the process of embracing them, it's kind of like the movie Batman. It's like Batman was afraid of the dark. He was afraid of the bats. It was the point of his life that caused a lot of trauma and a lot of fear. And so when he was older, he said, I'm going to become the bat and I'm going to live with it and I'm going to embrace it and I'm going to embody the fear. So this is what I did as a public speaker. I was like, I'm terrified. I could never do this. These are the things that I would say, like, I'm no good. I could never do this. No one would ever pay me for this. No, why would anyone want to hear me? I'm stupid. It took me forever to finish college. I was terrible. All these things that I said, okay, I need to embrace it. I need to fall in love with this fear. What's that going to take? It might take me a year. every week of embarrassment and suffering in order for me to learn the ability to fall in love with it and to find little wins and where I improve a little bit. It's going to take time. But in order for me to empower myself to accomplish my dreams and have the potential to become who I was meant to be, this fear is happening in the benefit for my future. So I must embrace it. I must hug it. I must love it. I must kiss it, whatever you want to high five it, and live with it until it no longer consumes me, but I'm in control of the fear. And you got to always like practice it. Even though I've been speaking for, I don't know, 12, 13 years, I mean, I've made $150,000 in one speech. And people will pay a lot of money, which blows my mind to think that 12 years ago I couldn't even speak in front of an audience. But this shows you the power of when you commit to something and you embrace it and you build enough value to people, you can overcome a lot of things, even when you think it can never happen. I never thought I'd be able to do this until I found a mentor that had a model that I mimicked and I got coaching consistently on, and I went all in on it. And I need to sharpen the tools of speaking, and I can never think I've got it figured out. This is why I always live with a beginner's mind. I ask everyone questions. I'm curious about people younger than me, older than me, people with more success, less success. I can learn something from everyone. And the moment where I believe my ego has things figured out is when life humiliates me. So I'm constantly trying to humble myself so life doesn't humble me, by being curious, by sharpening my tools, by having a gracious heart, all those things. So I don't know if I'll ever cross them off my list fully. There's always going to be something.
So you were talking about value and getting paid and whatnot. So that's a great transition into the next question, which is, what was your journey around self-worth and offering value when you're creating pricing, et cetera, in business? How do you know where to set your pricing?
For me, I do the thing that scares me, because I'm a little weird, though, I think, with that. When it comes to like, I try to think, what's the thing that I could generate 10 times the return on their investment for them? So if I'm charging $10,000 for coaching, how could I make sure they make $100,000 worth of value in return? Whether that's financial return, spiritual, personal, professional, physical return, health return. How can I offer $100,000 worth of value for that 10,000? If it's $100 product, how can I offer $1,000 worth of value in the service that I provide, the product I provide that will give them $1,000 of value? If it's a $25 book, how do I make it I don't know, someone help me with math, $250, whatever that is, $500 return from the value you get from a $25 book? Is it going to give you $500 value or more? So I'm always trying to think of the product that I deliver, the service that I offer needs to give 10 times the value based on the investment. When I do that, my credibility will go through the roof. People will recommend me. They'll say, wow, I got a steal. This is unbelievable. Like, I got these results and it only cost me this. People will share it for you. And so, and I do that for constantly developing new skills to add more value, or hiring the right team who has skills that can add more value to our customers, to our products or services. But I remember when I had all the time in the world and no job, the best thing I did for myself was acquired skills. And you think you have skills when you finish college, but really you don't have skills. You've got some basic stuff, but life is going to smack you in the face like the first time you fell down trying to walk. And the more skills you can acquire in college, outside of the classroom, by doing extracurricular things, by learning on YouTube, by investing in skill acquisition, the better, because you're going to want to be valuable in lots of different ways. And the more skills, the more tools you have in your tool belt, the more value and the higher you can charge, as whether you're getting a job somewhere, whether you're selling something, the more you can charge. And if I didn't acquire skills over the last 12, 13 years that I've acquired through going all in on my fears, you acquire them from going all in the fear, I wouldn't be able to have the impact of the business, the team that we have, because the resources wouldn't come in. And as an entrepreneur, you need money. You need cash in the bank. Otherwise, you're not an entrepreneur. You're an artist that doesn't make money. You have a product or service that no one buys. So you need to learn the skills of making money. And that takes, it's a lot more than just, let me just create a product and hope people buy it. There's so many skills to acquire as an entrepreneur. There's so many things you've got to learn. And I'm 12 years in and I still feel like I'm just getting started. I still feel like I know nothing because it's always a new level that you need to learn a skill at. Yeah.
Yeah, as my dad always says, skills pay the bills.
Absolutely. And you got to think about what are the high earning skills that you can acquire. What are those skills? Is it sales? Is it copywriting? Is it, you got to think about what's the thing that people pay the most for. Go master that. Go master that skill.
Lucia, do you want me to keep asking questions?
Keep going. Keep going.
All right.
I'm
next,
here.
What was the most significant learning experience you have had post-college?
Man, I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes that gave me feedback. If you want to call them failures, I call them moments that gave me feedback, that educated me, painful educational moments that are working in the benefit for a greater future. I'm trying to think of, I just feel like I've made so many mistakes, had so many lessons. What was the question? The most painful one? The biggest lesson?
The most significant learning experience.
Significant learning experience. I'll share one that came to mind. After probably 7 or 8 years of speaking, for the first year, learning the art of speaking and how to craft the speak and just overcome the fear, to then I started actually making money as a speaker. I made $500 for my first speech, then I made $1,000, then I made $2,500, then I made $5,000, $10,000, $30,000, $50,000, $150,000. And over the last, I guess I started this in 2008, so 13 years of speaking training and experience as a speaker. Maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I can't remember, but 7 or 8 years after I started speaking, and then speaking professionally, getting paid to speak, I remember I would still get nervous before speeches. For the first few years, I would be nervous like a week before. Then it would be like 3 days before the speech. Then it was like, I'm still nervous the night before or the day of. And I was like, why am I still nervous? Like, I'm speaking in front of 10, 20,000 people. People are paying me a lot of money. Why am I still nervous? I've been doing this for a long time now. I shouldn't be nervous anymore. This is a fear that I feel like I've been conquering. Why am I nervous? And I was paying for a coach at the time. And I said, I called him about 30 minutes before the speech, and I had a big speech. I think it was maybe like 7,000 people for this one speech. And I was like, gosh, I'm about to go on stage. Can you ground me? And I believe heavily in grounding moments before we do something. I'll talk about it later if we have time. But I said, can you ground me for this moment? Get me grounded because I'm nervous. I'm all over the place. I feel like I'm going to mess up. Can you ground me? And I said, I started beating myself up and talking negatively. I'm like, why am I still nervous? Like, I shouldn't be nervous. I've been doing this for so long. Like, gosh, am I ever going to not be nervous? And he stopped me and he said, Louis, you're nervous because you care about what people think about you. You're still living in the fear of the opinions of other people, the judgments of other people. And it's hard to be nervous when your heart's on service. It's hard to be nervous when your heart's on service. So you're thinking about what people think about you. You're thinking about that joke you want to tell. You're thinking about that opening line. You're thinking about this important part. You're not thinking about how you can serve your audience at the highest level. Yes, you are. You want them to be like, you want to deliver, but you're still caring about, am I going to look good? At the end of the day, we all want to know we did a good job. It's what we all want. I've interviewed some of the most influential people in the world in sports, business, activism, authors, scientists, all of it. Doctors. I've interviewed some of the most influential people in the world, from Brene Brown to Kobe Bryant to Jay Balvin to Tony Robbins to Novak Djokovic, who's in the Australian Open right now, to, all these incredible leaders, celebrities, all this stuff. I just had Priyanka Chopra Jonas on 2 weeks ago. And almost every person at the end of every interview, and I'm just a little old, Lewis from middle of nowhere, Ohio, that went to Penn College, right? I'm not some celebrity. I'm not some billionaire. I'm just a child who grew up in Ohio that went to Penn and had some dreams and went after and chased them. I'm not Priyanka Chopra Jonas. I'm not I had one of the 11th richest person in the world on a few months ago. And I'm like, how am I having these conversations with these people? But at the end of the day, they all ask at the end, Connor, of every interview, did I do okay? Was that a good job? Did I do okay? Like, should I have shared that story? Was that okay? Like, there's a insecurity that a lot of us have. Are we doing a good enough job? Did we do okay? And he said, you care so much about looking good and being okay and what other people think about you. And you're always going to be nervous when you're trying to look good and when you care about what other people think about you. But when you focus, when you know that you will make mistakes and you embrace that you're not going to be perfect on stage and that you're going to forget that joke and you're going to stutter, you're going to lose track at one point, and you just let that go. You just let it go and know it will happen. Embrace it. And you focus on the service of other people and only caring about the people in that room and saying, how could I serve? How can I serve? How can I serve? Then you're going to be less nervous. And I tell you what, it's been a game changer the last 4 years because now I go out there saying, I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to be perfect. And I'm okay and I accept and love myself for not being perfect. And if people laugh at me, they're going to laugh at me. But I'm here for one reason and one reason only, to be the highest level of service that I can be in this moment for this community, this audience, just like I'm doing right now for everyone here. There's 178 people in here right now. And I came in here and I grounded right before. I had a coaching call for 2 hours right before. I had 2 minutes before I had to come on from that to this. And I grounded. I set my intention last night. When I got the email about today again, I set my intention this morning. And I said, how am I going to serve? I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to say stupid, silly things. People are going to laugh at me. Maybe someone remembers me from when I was in high school and I was this goofy kid and they're going to judge me. It doesn't matter. I'm here to serve the level that I can with where I'm at right now and do my best. And then let it go. So hopefully that answers the question. Next question. Bring it. Bring it, Lucia.
Are you sure?
Bring it.
Well, I see that everybody's still connected. So, Connor, do you have one last one?
Yeah, I'm pretty curious about this one as well.
Bring it, Connor.
How do you start your day?
Well, it depends on certain things and depends on the season of my life. But typically, I like to wake up early, and first thing to do is make my bed. Moms are usually right, and then they tell you to make your bed, you should listen to them. And I learned this the hard way because I rebelled against it. Prinn middle school and upper school in the dorm, we had to make our bed. I never wanted to. I never embraced it, but I did it. Then when I went to a different college and left school, I was like, I'm not making my bed for years. Until I was like, you know what? I'm living a sloppy life. And if I'm expecting to get great results in my life, I cannot leave my bed messy. Because what does that say about me? That I don't care about sleep. That I don't care about recovery and rest. If it's just flop down everything and I come back at night and I see a messy bed, it doesn't create a level of momentum and a level of confidence and a level of care for myself. A third of our life, we are sleeping. And if you don't take that seriously and you neglect taking care of your space where you sleep, then why would sleep give you quality energy in return? Why should it care about you if you don't care about it? So for me, making my bed is one of the first things I do. Then I wake up. After that, I say, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Every day, a lot of people die. A lot of people leave this earth, and I got another day. And I got another day to experience my spiritual expression, to be on this physical planet, to experience what it's like to have ideas, to feel love, to feel peace, and to bring an idea and alchemize it into the real world, to manifest it into reality. Thank you for another day. Most of the time, I meditate. I went to India a number of years ago to become a meditation instructor and teacher. And so I like to do about a 12 to 15-minute meditation where I meditate and pray. From there, I've had so many different researchers and scientists and health experts and doctors on and things like that because I am always wanting to learn. And one of the most important things is water, hydration for the body, for the mind, for everything. So I'm a big fan of drinking room temperature water with a little bit of lemon in the morning to kind of alkalize the body and lubricate the mind, because sometimes we have fog, and water and hydration really supports our physical manifestation. And then from there, in the morning, I'm taking Spanish class right now. So 8 a.m., I start Spanish class, and that goes for an hour. And depending on the season of my life, I do sometimes do workouts in the morning. I'll do like an early morning boxing class or a run or something else, but it kind of depends. Sometimes it's in the afternoon based on the season, the structure of my podcast interview schedule. But making the bed, meditation, saying thank you, and drinking water would be the four things I would do every single day.
Yeah, I love that. I'm really working on my morning routine, and I like the act of making your bed. Something I had heard was how even if you have the worst day of your life, you can always look forward to going back into a made bed.
Absolutely.
And that's a mentality that I like to stick with.
Another thing, if I wanted to add a fifth thing, because I think a lot of people get distracted in life, is I would have a list of those top 3 goals that you're looking to manifest and create, and look at those every single morning. Like, rewrite them down or look at them and say, what am I going to do to get me closer to accomplishing these 3 main goals today? And that's all I should be doing.
Well, it's great to know that Connor's doing a lot of morning preparation before his 8 a.m. class with me.
Yeah,
So
smart
happy
guy.
to know that, Connor. Great example for all the class. And thank you so much. Just to let you know, Coach Marston did respond. He has been hearing you. So
Nice.
he was very happy to hear.
One of the greatest coaches of all time. I'm sad he's not coaching anymore.
Several people have been offering you some free Spanish lessons while you've been speaking.
Gracias por todo, amigos.
Yeah, sí, de ahora en
Aaron Pearson's in the house. Aaron Pearson,
yes.
Coach Marston are some of the greatest coaches and mentors that any of you students, if you're looking for a mentor, bug the crap out of Coach Marston and Aaron Pearson, because I would not be the human being I am, the man I am, without their coaching, their support, their spiritual advice, everything. So I think about them often, even though I don't contact them or talk to them, but often. But I think about them often. Whenever I go back to Print High School, I used to go and bug Coach Marston in the math department and say hi. And Ann, I'm grateful that Ann came back. We actually, when I went into the Hall of Fame, I was like, Coach Pearson, I would not be in the Hall of Fame without Coach Pearson. So we flew her out, me and Rachel, and said, you're coming here because we would not be here without you. And I think that inspired her to come back to the school. So I would encourage every person to bug Ann Pearson, one of the greatest coaches and spiritual leaders that I've met. And Coach Marston, for sure, bug him because he's retired now, I think. So he's got a lot of free time. You can go bug him all day.
And just so you know, you've also been invited to some salsa lessons in St. Louis next time you come over here. So
Nice.
I think that your life has been planned right now. You may check if everything aligns with your vision.
I'm in. How many people speak Spanish in here? Is people from Columbia, the university, or Columbia, the country?
The country. You've been receiving offerings for classes.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Okay, bueno, entonces vamos a seguir. We're gonna continue with wanted to thank a few people. I want to thank first Connor for the questions, for helping us with that. I want to let everybody know that we have this entrepreneurship this entrepreneurship department now, and there's a whole set of courses.
Gosh, I wish you had had 15 years ago. Come on, Lucia.
I know. So really, it doesn't matter what major you belong to. You can do a minor or you can do concentration, but we have a pathway here to
take advantage of it. I'm telling you, how many people are actually students at Prin right now? Just say me if you're currently a student at Prin. I wonder if there's even 10 people here that are. Okay, lots of people. Okay, cool.
We have several.
The class that I was talking about was a class that Ann Pearson taught. It was around, I can't remember exactly the name of the class, but it was literally like go build a personal brand. And like, it was the only class that I really remember and enjoyed. And I created an entire marketing plan for how I was going to be a professional athlete and brand myself at the next level after school. And I learned so much from that one class. If Ann's not teaching anymore, you need to convince her to teach a class because it was great. Lee Ellis, you know what I do in my book? Lee Ellis taught me something in a leadership class. There's two classes that I remember now. Lee Ellis, I took a leadership class that we created something. Lee, I don't even remember this. Back in 2003, 2004, I think it was 2003, I took a leadership class with Lee Ellis, and we did an exercise. I still remember and have this today that guided a lot of things called the Leader's Compass. Lee, I don't know if you remember the Leader's Compass. This was an exercise that you taught. I don't know if you came up with this or was this somewhere you found this, but you talked about the leadership or leader's compass. And I've used this compass for the last 15 years of my life. And it was a powerful distinction that I learned in your class, Lee. So Ann Pearson had a great class that helped me. Lee had a leadership class. It's the only thing I could really pay attention to. Everything else was so hard for me to pay attention to unless I was on the sports field. But these are mentors, and you as well, Lucia. These are mentors to all the people that said me. These are mentors that you're doing a disservice to yourself and them if you are not reaching out to them right now. After this, like email them, call them, text them, bug them. They are here to serve. And even if they don't want to and they're busy and tired, bug the crap out of these individuals and anyone else at the school, associated with the school, whatever. They're here to serve and they're here to guide you. And I would not be where I'm at as a human being, as an entrepreneur, as an individual, without their guidance. And I'm telling you, you have some incredible resources available for you. I'm grateful that I took advantage of a few of the people there. I wish I would have taken advantage in obviously in a positive way of more of the teachers and coaches. But literally bug them. Say, when are your office hours? When can I come ask you questions? Can you give me feedback on this? Can you help me here? This is what they're here to do, to serve. And one of the greatest gifts someone can do with experience is teach and mentor what they've learned. And all three of you have incredible wisdom. And I'm telling you, I would not be where I'm at without the experience. And the challenging thing is, some of us go through school without maximizing it. And I 80% of things I did not maximize, but that 20%, I squeezed the juice out of it as much as I could from these teachers and coaches and opportunities to learn. And that's what's part of the reason that's gotten me here, is the foundation from Prin and the spiritual studies that I got out of that. My mindset that Coach Pearson taught me is so strong because of the lessons she taught me. There's no way that I'd be able to do what I'm doing without the belief that she was able to coach in me when I didn't believe in myself. And so these are just some examples, and I'm putting Coach Pearson and Coach Ellis on the spot here, but you guys have amazing resources. I highly recommend you take advantage of them and you stay in touch with them after school and keep bugging them and go back and see them and thank them consistently. And so, if I haven't done that enough to everyone who's at Prin, I try to thank as many people as I can. There was actually Miss Heimrel at the high school who was like, you're going to fail English and not be able to go to college if you fail English senior year in high school. And she was like, I will do whatever it takes to help you. I'm not going to let you pass and just let you pass, but I will be here whatever you need. And she showed up every day after school for hours working with me because when I went to Print, I had a second grade reading level going into eighth grade. And they had me in the special tutor classes all the way through college. But the people that were willing to show up for me were extremely instrumental in me just passing school. And you can talk to Lee and Ann, and they'll tell you about how horrible of a student I was, but it was the after hours, asking questions, doing the extra work to do what I needed, which helped me. So leverage. You're spending a lot of money at Print. There's what, four times the employees than there are students. Leverage this, right? There's what, 100 students there now. Like leverage your opportunities to connect with these incredible leaders. Anyways, I'm rambling here, but I can't emphasize enough the talent at Pran, and the wisdom and the years of experience. And you know, Lee would coach me outside of class, and I'd go into his office, and he'd give me wisdom and knowledge, and I would just suck it up. Coach Pearson would wake up at 6 a.m. with me and go practice pole vaulting or javelin and spend time and energy to train me. Like you have an opportunity to create magic for this year, these next 3 years, however long you're there. And it's your fault if you don't maximize it. It's your fault if you lay around in Ferg all day or Anderson or wherever you're at and just not take on the work, and not create your fear list and go all in on that fear list. So,
Thank you so much.
of
This is
course,
amazing. And I really think you nailed it on the culture that we have at Print. And as a faculty, I studied in Print as well. I had someone that mentored me. I went out of my way 2 years ago and looked for her all the way to the other side of the US, said thank you.
right.
And really, this is a culture. And as a faculty now, I realize, that we all feel that way. And it's wonderful to see that. And I love when I get reached back by graduate students and get asked to be help in ideas, in, career advice, problems with their employers and how to manage them. It's you nailed it on the culture, and I think that's there's always that disposition. So thank you so much. I want to thank you for your time. That's so valuable, for your disposition to stay half an hour more with us today. I know how busy you are. Your schedule's full. You're having all these preparation for podcasts, etc. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's start with that.
Tomorrow, Friday?
Yeah, I know.
What day it is?
My kids, already shout like you on Friday. They know exactly.
5 Minute Friday. I love it.
Yes, they do. So, anyways, I know you're busy, and thank you so much for sharing your story, for bringing inspiration to all our aspiring entrepreneurs listening today. And I also want to thank Ann Pearson. I want to thank Pete Pajoric, Robbie Butler.
Big Pete. Oh, Pete is the man too. Bug Pete. He's a talented guy. Make sure you bug Pete. All these people. Yeah.
Robbie Butler, Marilee, Stephanie Case, Connor Goring, and my entire new venture creation class are the ones that inspired me to put this together. And they also created an amazing video about failure to start the bus at the college. So I want to thank everyone for listening to this event. And I'm hoping that we were able to gain a deeper understanding of failure that could be critical to our growth. So I hope everybody has a good night, and thank you again.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Herb King in the house. I see a lot of questions still coming through. That's good to see everyone here. That's awesome. Yeah. If anyone has any questions after this, feel free. You can message me. You can email me. I'm just lewis@greatness.com. So if anyone wants to follow up and ask a question, feel free to say hi there. I'm indebted to Principia, even though I have a love-hate relationship with Prin when I was there. When I look back on it, there was a lot more good than there was things that were frustrating. And I can empathize with a lot of students who might be frustrated with different things that happen or don't happen or whatever. And again, if you look at everything as happening in the betterment of your favor for your future, and you needing to figure out what that is, and you being grateful for the challenge and the adversity and know that it's going to make you a better human being, then you can look back without frustration or anger or resentment, but really gratitude in your heart for what it brought you, not what it didn't bring you. What the people who lifted you up, not the people who brought you down. And really think about your time at Prin as an opportunity for growth and it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be pretty. And I'm sure you wish you had this and that and all these other things, but just really enjoy it for what it is, and know that you'll be reflecting back on it in a powerful way if you go all in and tap into the resources that are available.
Great. Thank you so much.